My name is Ravinder Singh. I've been working with Tennis Professional Training Institute for the last 12 years. I came in as a student and part of the diploma program, which was a 3-year program back then. Now it's a 1-year program where professional dancers train. I've trained in India and abroad as well. I work as a head supervisor for the educational branch, that's for the Tennis Professional Training Institute. I supervise all the work that goes along in teaching, in management and finances as well. Okay, so just to define Bollywood for you in a very short term is that we bring our roots from the classical forms like Kathak, Bharatanatyam. Now in there's something called as Abhinay, the way you will express through your face, yes, and through a movement that is called the Ang as well. So that's from the classical background and the folk background, but the Bollywood of today, which comes from completely from commercial influence, the influence from the West, from commercial styles like jazz, Broadway, hip hop, it brings in from every place possible. To go back to the history, I would refer certain names, Birju Maharaj, where it comes from, Gopi Kishan ji, which really changed and adapted every way of moving. There came legacies from Saroj Khan and now to different choreographers like Terence Lewis himself influencing Bollywood in certain different ways and adding an international flavor to it. To understand, when we say international flavor is like even the music, so it's dancing, right? It's Bollywood dance. It comes from the factor of adding a hip-hop culture, the bass comes in more, the instrumentation of the music has completely changed. Even though the lyrics more or less are in Hindi, we are seeing now an amazing trend coming in where people like Badshah, Raftar, these are Indian rappers who are stepping in and adding a western flavor to the music. So the choreographers are also interpreting them in a very different way. Choreographies back then were about movement, about expressing themselves, but now it's more about how can I create a visual impact, having more, I would say, high-end cars, more electronics, more lavishness to the video with colors. Yes, Bollywood has been a part in terms of adding more colors all the time, but now it's more about showing the richness of the culture. In terms of how in India of today is, it's more about, we are influenced from the West, including me. Like I would say, even though I've been brought up speaking in Hindi, I would prefer to talk in English all the time. On my opinion, it's completely changed right now. There is no, the originality of Bollywood that was stuck in folk and classical doesn't exist anymore. There are only some people who are carrying the legacy like Saroj Khan. There's a debate right now because we don't see her so many songs that have been choreographed by Birju Maharaj also. We only see certain people bringing certain influences of it, but it's not majorly a part of it now. As Indians, the most amazing thing that influences a lot is Bollywood. So even the corporate world that runs around, or the commercial world where people are launching brands, to people having weddings, to people having their own birthday parties. I really remember doing birthday parties for a 7-year-old, which was a show he needed certain parts of Salman Khan, who's a famous actor, being there. So each and every event that a commercial unit, that's the Terence Lewis Contemporary Dance Company, gets on performing on stage, people ask, they want an entertainment segment because most of the people out here are Indians and they would want to have certain sense of fun and themselves being there. So even if it's an event where we're doing a contemporary production, where we're showcasing a product or we're launching a car, by the end of it there has to be an entertainment segment where they would love to see a lavishness of Bollywood actually come live in front of them. This comes from the root of who we are. We are Indians, we love our music, we love dancing, and dancing is a part of everything. Even there are certain rituals when somebody dies that people perform. So dance is from the death to the birth to every celebration, every event that happens in our life. Most of us, because we grew up watching these heroes, the heroes out here are not people who are normal. They can do things which they want to do, and it's quite not real, because we need to understand where Indians are coming from. They're coming from the factor where there are a lot of, try and not get me wrong on this, but there is a lot of poverty in the country. There's a lot of poverty in the country itself, and then there are people struggling in different aspects. So when they want to go to the cinema, they want to see things which are unrealistic and uplifts their energy to a different level. It's not about the fact that you want to see cinema which brings reality to you. They're not wanting to be real. They're wanting to experience something that takes away from their sorrow and misery, and they want to uplift their energy. So yeah, so recently as a company also, we have not been doing so many movies as such. We have shifted ourselves to very streamlined work of driving our force into kind of work that gives us more happiness. Please try and understand, when somebody is working in Bollywood, the kind of involvement it is. One song takes 5 days to shoot. Dancers are confined to that area for those 5 days. So as a contemporary dance company also, as artists, we have opened our thought process to going beyond just doing movies and songs. It's totally because we don't see only dance as what people are perceiving. You know, as I told you, like Indians would perceive it only a certain way of entertainment. For us, we are starting to go to the next level where it's art for us. And we want to have a self-expression in it. And Bollywood is there, yes it's there, but as a contemporary company, we have our own productions where we are sharing as artists of what we feel, how things influence us in our life, and how we want to impact the society also. So as I said, most of us have a training from Impulse Dance, that's in Vienna.
Impulse, yeah.
Yeah, and most of us go for scholarships out there. So that's where our education comes from modern dancing to new age techniques like flying low, which is just coming up recently. So with us, like I started dancing from completely, I would not even say Bollywood, it came from b-boying. So I started from breakdancing completely, then I shifted to ballet, jazz and contemporary. Every person who comes and joins us, be it student from any remote area of India as well, that person is encouraged to please take up training specifically in ballet, jazz and contemporary. So those are our main subject, and that's a crux of our whole company as well. We really feel that's the necessary because that gives a solid foundation for a professional dancer. And once you're there, you can also adapt to Bollywood, you can adapt to Broadway jazz, you can adapt to whatever you feel like because your body is ready. So that's why it's called the DIDFC course, foundation course. Diploma in Dance Foundation course. So it's a foundation course because it gives a dancer a beautiful foundation. So initially it was for 3 years, then we shifted to 1.5 year format, then now we have shifted to 1 year format. The reason behind it is because specifically in India, we need to observe the market. Everybody takes up dancing very late, and for them to even to move further and make a money out of and a living out of it is difficult. So somebody to give in India 5-6 years in dance takes a lot more time, whereas the bodies are not ready. So we try and avoid giving them taking them for over a period of time, whereas they learn the basics, they put that in the body, because when they're coming in at the age of 18. So that's a sense of maturity that they have. They approach work differently. It's not a 13-year-old in class that is already struggling with, oh, what do I want to do, or they're struggling with many thoughts. There are people who know what they want to do. So at the age of 18, when they come to us, they're very focused, they want to do certain things in a precise way. So the education in themselves also it ripens faster. So the criteria is the potential in them. We don't select people on terms of, oh, they're already a great dancer. The point of this company has always been the joy of dance. If we see somebody is really passionate, they want to dance, they don't have the technique in them, they don't have the placement, they don't have the body for it, we don't want them to be perfect. We don't want them to be at a level where they can reach to their maximum. And that's what our point of view is, because in a country like India, where there's millions of people taking up dancing, it's not till today, I'm telling you, that's not a profession. People think it's a profession. They ask you, what else do you do? How do you make money? Specifically with Mumbai being the commercial hub of India, there are various people who have worked already and existing choreographers. So once a student does a foundation course, they have different opportunities where they start to assist people in terms of teaching. So they start to learn with people who have been, like for example, my friend who's been into education for 12 years. There are times when they choose students to work along with them and assist them for good 4-5 years in order to understand teaching, be it a commercial number or anything, classes, coming to shows. Like a lot of them get into organizing and even dancing in shows, commercial shows that are happening. They can also choose to be a dance manager because they understand dance, they can manage somebody and their own institute as well. There are students from this institute who have gone to Spain. There are people who have traveled different parts of the country, world, in order to educate themselves. So there is a reason why we have put our name as Tennis Roots Contemporary Dance Company, because the day one this company has started, we were focused on doing contemporary work and developing more work in terms of something that is to be very personal for us. But in order to generate money and to develop more work, we are stepping out and doing Bollywood work that gives us enough money to pull in into education, to pull in supporting dancers. Like I've been sponsored 4 times to travel to Vienna, but I try figuring it out. Sometimes they sponsor me, sometimes they sponsor somebody else. So that's the kind of work we do, and obviously the name contemporary in itself refers to everything that's around. So we as a company, we always think that dance is for everyone and everything is dance. Television, most dancers in India just start keeping people on television, and that's where they begin from. Nowadays it's YouTube that's influencing, but mostly I start, like everybody I know who started dancing 12 years back or 13 years back used to just watch television, try and mimic everything, every step of it, because we couldn't slow down things. Every time the song will come on television, we want to dance along with it. We meet on birthday parties, we're dancing the same number, doing the hook step together, like that chorus. Everybody knows, okay, Shava, Shava, we know this is the step, and everybody is watching that. So what happens is that there is no official training of Bollywood. Yes, we can have an institute and there are people who are running it, but people don't. It's more or less, if you go and learn Bollywood, it's until unless you're completely a beginner dancer. And in India, most people are dancers, even if in terms of them enjoying what they do. And to tell you, there is something called as Cine Dancers Association, which has a fee of, right now it's shifted to 2,80,000 rupees. So there is a card that you make that gives you, you become a part of the Cine Dancers Association, and then you become a professional dancer. Now, apart from that, we have Western dancers from the West coming down to India, being flown down. Their rates are different, being paid per song or per shoot, which is for 8 hours or 4 hours shift. So everything in India happens according to shift. Like you have a 4-hour shift, 8-hour shift, like abroad as well. So similarly, if there's a dancer from abroad that is coming down, their fees are very different. And now there's a trend that I'm seeing that it's been like 4 or 5 years that we are seeing a lot of dancers from abroad who are trained up a part of the background dancing, because yes or no, we have to remember that Indians have this thing for the white skin. So even as dancers and choreographers, they want to hire dancers from abroad just in case to make the song look more rich, lavish, more viewed upon YouTube. Yes, it's very difficult to predict the future, but in a simple way, through my boss, I would say, Danse Paris, or my creative head, Mark Damasya, what I've always heard is that they really want to investigate their own journeys for dancing. So if you see, as a company, we are quite big in our name in India, and we are known internationally for our name. But if you see the employees, there are only 50 people. There are hardly 20. Right now, I think we are on 32 dancers, and rest all is management. And that's a very small number for like a company in India. People in India, there are other companies which have more than 700 dancers with them, and they are with them. So for us, it's very clear that we want to maintain the quality over quantity, and the most important thing is for us, for each one of us to grow and enjoy what we're doing. So for us, for me, if you ask me personally, I'm working on a production, a very small piece which is like 15-minute long but split into 3 parts. It's about something that I personally feel that happens in everybody's life. It's a transition where you realize that you are wanting to do something else. It's just an expression of that. So with the 1-year program, I'm doing that piece, and that makes me happy. So we like doing work which expresses us, or maybe something that we have seen and will make us think and make people think. Terence sir always says, balance your life. So you need to have the money also, and in order to have your creative expression also. You cannot only think of the creative expression and not have your bank balance. So we also, like, even though I'm here, I'm into the educational aspect, but if needed, I step into the commercial aspect and choreograph a show for them and put it out there, and that balances out my creativity as well, because I have the money to do what I want. So like, a lot of people ask me, why you've been here? It's been 12 years, like you came in at the age of 18, you just turned 30, you've been like, what are you here for? I'm here for the kind of atmosphere this place provides me. It provides me creativity, it provides me a very good safety net to express myself as an artist, as a human being, and it really supports me deep down. It has made me really grow. This is like, I would say, has been the right atmosphere for me to grow. But to answer those people, these are the answers I always have. Like, it's giving me the best I need in my life. I can travel abroad every year, sponsor myself, and always, this is where artists go wrong. They always think it's always about themselves, expressing themselves. It's also about the people around you. You need to support them. And while I'm doing commercial work, I'm balancing out on that. In fact, a lot of times I've realized, when I was training in jazz, I was performing on stage. So I was really applying what my art was. When I was training, I've trained in contemporary, I came back, trained in contemporary, I was doing production. So even commercial contemporary production, where we are launching a product through contemporary art. So everything. I think it just, commercial art helps you to be a better dancer also, and we all need to accept that. And specifically in India, people, I don't know why they tend to separate, and even abroad, a lot I see people saying, oh, I just want to do this and this is what who I am, I feel this. Yes, that's great, but balance it out, because you need to have every aspect of life. And I often tell people that yes, that I can choose to do one part of it, but this is life and I want to have all aspects. See, there are some people you can never tell them that, you know, okay, this is the work, and they will never appreciate it, because this is behind the fact that we are rich. I can tell them on the faces. A lot of people think they're commercial unit, they do Bollywood. When there is our work, it's on YouTube, it's in festivals. We have traveled to Vienna and done a product, taken Kamshit project, which is a contemporary production, abroad, and performed there in the very most prestigious festival in the world, and they are calling us. So it's just like, you know how people say gossip. You can talk about it, but there is actually a possibility. I've realized that you can balance everything. With Tenesa, he's been one of the most prestigious person to really boom contemporary dance. So I would say the reason why it boomed in India is because there was contemporary dance existing beforehand. There was Asta Devu and everybody talking dance. But to reach the common mass, to actually show them what this can also be something that can influence you. It is not only Bollywood. So he was the first one, and you can check that with anybody you feel like. He was the first one to bring that on commercial television and tell people what it is exactly, what is the right thing to do, what not, what is technique, how do you approach this style, how to see contemporary art. He would actually explain that on television. So there was a reality television that is called Dance India Dance, and after that there were a lot of reality shows that came where Tenesa himself was sitting as a judge, and he was guiding people, dancer. So the most beautiful thing that people in India talk about him as a judge as compared to other judges, so many judges in India, that him being a dancer, he's still dancing on stage by himself, because other choreographers stopped dancing after like 35 or something. He's still moving himself. He's so involved with every person who's on the show. He's trying to educate till today. Whenever he goes on the show, he's educating the audience. He's telling them how to perceive it, how to see it. He's educating the dancers. He's one of the people who's very clear and says no to no. It's not about just adding drama to contemporary. He's bringing, I would say, the real contemporary to the masses, and that's what he did. That's why he got famous, because people love the way bluntly he would say things to people, to dancers, to the audience. Actually, I would say he started training in jazz. Then he traveled to Albany in US. Then later on he traveled to Impulse Dance, where he was a Weber, which is a scholarship program in Impulse Dance where students get education on free of cost. So he traveled abroad, and when he came back, that's when he started to realize that he needs to provide the same kind of atmosphere to these people in India. So that's where our company was formulated. Our education institute has finished more than 20 years now. So back then, well, Bollywood is not at all interested in what is happening around, because see, try and understand how in India you see monopoly of different states. See, there's a central government, then there are states, and every state wants to do their own thing. That's what I'm saying. It's so rooted in who we are as Indians. Even though we are together, we have this individualistic thing that we want to do on our own. See, the Bollywood industry is completely different, because it has a different organization overlooking the whole process. They're not at all about the art of it. They're about the commercials of it. They're about people who, okay, let's make money, let's spend money. Let's make money, let's spend money. Yes, they take care of the dancers, the Cine Dancers Association. What they do, they have small pension plans, they have other things that they are running around for the dancers who are part of it, of the commercial units. But they're not driven towards taking care of art or prospering of art in India. It's not at all. It's only the cultural committees of India that is taking care of all of this. We only absorb the best students from the batches. They are given an opportunity to intern with us, and then more or less be a part of the company if they would like to. It's a different world. Two things. Bollywood industry in itself runs in a very vast format. It is very. It's like a different planet altogether.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.